G'day, Bomber fans. Well, throughout the week, I was introducing you guys to the new draftees and the new players at the club, and thank you for watching those videos, by the way. But while I was doing that, there was quite a bit of news. It always seems like the Bombers, news happens when it's not convenient for me, so we're going to catch up on it. There was quite a bit that went on. There was some unfortunate injuries, some change in captaincy, some potential new recruits from the other side of the globe, so let's chat about it. So let's start with some international news, and this is a fun one because it's not being reported in Australia anywhere yet. It's I've never seen Essendon fans care so much about Irish journalism before. This is the Irish Independent, a newspaper over there, is reporting that a young Gaelic football star, Cillian Bourke, is set to pursue a career in AFL and will be joining the Essendon Bombers, leaving Gaelic football behind. He's a Gaelic football player over there. Bourke is a young gun in Ireland. He's 19 years old. He was named the best player under 20 years of age in the Gaelic League this year. He's 190 centimetres, known for his athleticism and ability on both sides of his body. By the way, obviously these attributes are suited to Gaelic football. It's a very different sport. Bourke is good on both sides of his body, but he's kicking a round ball. So Bourke, if this move is confirmed, would join the list as a long-term project. These Irish recruits are, they're pretty hit and miss because they've got to learn a new sport from scratch. This guy is not an AFL footballer. He's a Gaelic footballer. Sometimes it works. Conor McKenna is proof of that. But in recent years, we've also had Cian McBride and others who were delisted after a few seasons as well. So it is hit and miss. But the whole point of the Category B rookie spot is to allow players like Bourke to get a shot at footy, spend a couple of years on an AFL list. It really is just a stab in the dark pick. You get someone who's physically suited for AFL and see if they can pick up the sport. Every team does it. The best teams do it. So if this is confirmed, I'll look into him a bit more and see what we've got on our list. But for now, all the news is coming directly from Ireland, from one newspaper in Ireland, and every report since then has been sourcing it back to the Irish Independent. I do believe that his Gaelic team have posted a farewell message and have confirmed that he is jetting off to Australia and named the Essendon Bombers as well, but Essendon are yet to confirm this. So we'll wait for Essendon to do that before we, introduce you guys to Cillian Bourke properly. I'll see how I go with that because I personally don't know much about Gaelic football at all. But yeah, it's interesting. This would be a new addition to the list. Now, obviously, this might be confusing because, we've all said that list spots are pretty much finalised going into 2026. We can't add players like Will Setterfield to the list. We can add Cillian Bourke because he is an overseas talent. So we have one Category B rookie spot available on our list, which the Category B spot is for players from a non-traditional footballing background. So if Hussein El-Achkar had slid through to the rookie draft, if Richmond didn't bid on him, we could have added him on the Category B rookie list spot because of his Lebanese background, and Will Setterfield could have gotten a spot on the senior list. But because we had to add Hussein to the senior list, it means we can use up this Category B spot on someone from a non-traditional background, and we're doing that possibly doing that on an Irish talent in Cillian Bourke. So that is the confusing aspect of the rookie spots, what they all mean. But yeah, it just means we can add a low risk, high reward player. This guy will be on our list for, I think Category B's get a 2-year contract, so he'll stick around there for a little while. We'll see how he goes in the VFL. I like it. You may as well do it. Every club does it. Geelong have found success doing this, so yeah. Now, guys, we do have some injury news to get through, unfortunately. While I was posting those videos, we had quite a few setbacks to some really important players on the team, which is not good. We have to start by saying, by the way, anyone doubting Matt Innes because of these, injury setbacks to these mature players, I think you're going to find that there's still going to be quite a few injuries with the team in 2026. Some players have been injured their whole careers pretty much, and that's not going to change just off the back of one change in the head and high performance team. What I'm looking for is the long-term changes and, seeing these younger guys come through, hopefully become more durable players, hopefully some results with some of the older ones as well. But some of these guys, they're just going to have, careers probably affected by injuries and impacted by injuries a little bit because that's been the case for the last few years now. So we'll start, of course, with Nick Martin, who obviously did his ACL in round 18 against Richmond. He was progressing really, really well from that rehab. There were thoughts he could be back, 2 months ahead of schedule, or even 3 months ahead of schedule. There were some thoughts that he could return for Anzac Day, which would have been crazy. But unfortunately, at training the other day, he'd slipped over and re-injured that same knee. It requires surgery, so he is now going to miss he's all but certain to miss the entire 2026 season, which is yeah, just shocking luck. You know, you really don't want that at all for a young man. He's worked so hard, and this setback is just a crushing blow to him. So no Nick Martin in 2026. That he's going to be hoping to return for preseason training for the 2027 season. Yeah, I mean, he's still young. He's only 24. Huge member of the team going forward. Some would say our second best player on the list. So it is a big, big loss not having him around for the entire season. But I think we're all pretty confident that this guy will leave no stone unturned, you know, trying to get back, get his body right to play good footy again, hopefully, you know, soon. But yeah, I think 2027 we'll be seeing Nick Martin again next, which is, you know, it's too long without Nick Martin. You want this guy on the list and playing footy as much as possible. But yeah, we won't be able to see it for 2026. Obviously, you know, the team's going to be around the bottom of the ladder anyway. So hopefully in 2027, it's kind of that new recruit vibe. You often have that, you know, with players come back after a long injury, especially players like Nick Martin, as determined as he is. They come back bigger and better, and that is what we're hoping for Nick Martin. Yeah, I've been in touch with his family. I've passed on your best wishes as well, because a few of you, even before I posted about this, were in my comments talking about it, obviously, because it's big news for the club and big news for one of our favourite players. So all the best for Nick Martin. Hopefully we see him in 2027 playing excellent footy. If he's playing in 2027, he's going to be playing excellent footy. Let's be real. So Jay Clark from the Herald Sun is reporting that Jordan Ridley has suffered another hamstring injury. What would this be? 3 or 4 in the last year, if it is a proper injury, like he's reporting. If it is another setback and he's sidelined for a few more weeks, this would be getting to a pretty nasty stage for Jordan, and you know, his body's just let him down in the last 2 years. We know how good he is at his best, but he just hasn't been able to get on the park regularly in the last couple of years, which sucks because he is such a good player. But yeah, we don't know the severity of this one yet. All we know from Jay Clark is that there is an injury. Track watchers at the club didn't notice any discomfort from Jordan while he was training on the Friday. They were really surprised when this news arose, so that might tell you something, you know, to do with the severity. If I'm guessing based on that, it would probably be a minor hamstring injury, if at all. But yeah, we don't have confirmation from the club yet, so we shouldn't be speculating. Yeah, you know, the last time Jay Clark reported something like this, I think it was a little bit misleading. So you never really know with Jay Clark and the Herald Sun. But yeah, Jordan Ridley might be, you know, having scaled back sessions a bit. What we want is him to be training early in 2027. That'll be the goal, because, you know, that block of training after the Christmas break and before the new season is really important to, you know, leaping guys into a round 1 contention. And we're hoping that Jordan Ridley next year will be training as much as he possibly can. Similar story with Sullivan Roby. We're hoping that he's right for 2026, because it was reported that there were some stress responses in his back, and he will be having scaled back training loads as well. So these hotspots are stress responses. They're not stress fractures. So he will be back sooner than, you know, what an Alex Taru would have been last year, or a Cal Shadir. That's the thing, right? It's a really common injury for these young players, young, taller athletes who've had growth spurts. These guys with those growth spurts are susceptible to these injuries. It is common. The fact that it hasn't developed into a fracture is good. It means that he will be, there's less risk, and he'll be back sooner, hopefully, rather than later. What you don't want is it to develop into a fracture and then become a niggling issue over time, over the years, because that's what happened with me. My back is destroyed because of it. So yeah, I think the club will be really cautious with this and put him on ice for as long as he can, you know, to get rid of this and make sure that, you know, he's back 100%. The good news is the guy's 18. You know, we can put him on ice for as long as we want, but I don't think we'll need to. I think he is aiming to be back for round 1, or playing footy in round 1, and I think he'll be training. The goal is to have him back after the Christmas break, so he's only going to miss a month of training, and should be back in 2027, hopefully training the house down in the preseason. And some more news. You've got Cole Langford, who's hurt his leg, as reported by Jay Clark. It doesn't seem to be too serious. Harry Jones and Archie Perkins are still off to the side, recovering from their respective injuries. You've got some good news, though. You've got the ACL boys who are actually making really good progress. In particular, Nick Bryan. He is looking really good, apparently. He is doing quite a few ruck drills with new coach Todd Goldstein, ruck coach Todd Goldstein. There's a thought and a question as to whether he could be available for round 1. We won't push it, obviously, but you never know. And of course, guys like Durham, Parrish, Cox and Mackay are all training well, which is good. Really what we want is for as many people to be available for the 2027 sessions. You know, the post-Christmas break is really important. That is when you really get to work, and being involved in those training sessions is huge for your season. You know, if you can be involved in a full pre-season to start the year, you're doing well. So hopefully these guys that have these, you know, slight concerns and these niggles are back sooner rather than later. But for Nick Martin, unfortunately, it will be the entire 2026 season that he misses. We have got some new numbers at the club. Every year I try and guess the numbers, and I do very badly. So the club being picked quick to post at this time is, I mean, it's good for me, I guess. I don't embarrass myself, but we have new numbers at the club. I wouldn't have guessed them anyway. With number 2, Jacob Farrow. So this is usually a ruckman number. It was handed down from Bell Chambers to Draper, someone before then, I think, as well, potentially. Before that, it was Ricky Dyson, though, a left footer, a silky left footer. Jacob Farrow, another silky left footer, will now be wearing the number that Ricky Dyson wore. Ricky Dyson, of course, is also coaching at the club right now. And by the way, just on Jacob Farrow, you guys might remember last year, my mother gave the mum's tick of approval to Angus Clark. She's been watching these videos. Hi, mum. And she really liked the draft content, and she really likes Jacob Farrow. So my mum has given her mum's tick of approval to Jacob Farrow this year. That is, of course, as big an endorsement as you can get. It was great for Angus Clark. Look what's happened to him in the last year. So expect big things from Jacob Farrow. My mum is backing him. Sullivan Roby got the number 9, obviously held by Dylan Shiel, who has just retired. Congratulations to Dylan Shiel on your retirement. 15 to Dyson Sharp. That's a heavy number. You know how there are numbers that just don't suit players. I don't think 15 suits a Dyson Sharp type midfielder. But that's just me. 29. I thought Dyson Sharp was going to get 29 because that's what he was wearing for SA, but no, he went with the 15. 29 is worn by Max Kondagiannis. 33 by Hussein Elachkar, another small forward number. Braden Fiorini, new recruit, is in the number 8, the same number that he wore at the Gold Coast Suns. You've also got the 17, which was vacated by Todd Goldstein, big old gold. That is now going to be worn by Vigo Vicentini. He is taking the number from his mentor, and his mentor stays at the club. Todd Goldstein is one of our ruck coaches as well, so some nice symmetry there. Now, jumper news isn't always that interesting to many, but it does sometimes throw some little clues at you. So the number 12 is still vacant. That was obviously left by Will Setterfield after he was delisted. The fact that it's still vacant shows that the club is going to be, continuing to trial him on for that remaining list spot, as they said they would. Same thing happened last year with Kane Baldwin. So we kept the number 26 vacant. He trialed on as an SSP recruit. He didn't get the gig, and then that number 26 in the mid-season was given to Archer May after the numbers had been confirmed before that. So the same thing could happen here with Will Setterfield. This doesn't lock him into returning to the club just because his number's available. It's just opening the door for that if that was to be the case. But yeah, some new numbers. Good to see. Now, speaking of Will Setterfield, you might be thinking that we don't have list spots for Will Setterfield because we are actually full to the brim. After we add our Category B Irish rookie to the list, we will be full to the brim with list spots. But when there is a long-term injury on your team, you can open up a list spot for a replacement. So if the Essendon Football Club add Nick Martin to the inactive list, it will open up a list spot for the Bombers to use either in the supplemental selection period. So, now we can add someone to the list before the start of the year, or the mid-season draft. So we don't have to replace Nick Martin straight away if we add him to the inactive list spot. It can be during the mid-season draft. We could even choose not to replace him at all. But the Bombers are going to be looking at some SSP targets to potentially replace Nick Martin, and I'm sure we'll add some others to this list in the coming weeks and months as our training really ramps up. But at the moment, there are a few in the mix. So Boston Dowling, I wouldn't. He's part of the VFL setup. I've seen some ask about him. I don't think he's going to be in the mix for the AFL list spot. But there are two notable ones in Will Setterfield, who is obviously delisted by the Bombers. That number 12 has been left open, and he is still at the club, rehabbing on that Liz Frank injury. If he joins the club, it won't be because of any hard training sessions he does, because he is still in rehab with that Liz Frank. There's also Jackson Binns, who was delisted by Carlton. He recently took out our 2K time trial ahead of Angus Clark, who is as fit as anyone. So the Bombers do have some SSP targets. It looks like Jackson Binns would add some outside run and some endurance to the team. Will Setterfield would obviously be that big-bodied midfielder and someone that's familiar with the hanger as well. So yeah, I suspect that the Bombers will try and see what we can do with the SSP or the remaining list spot that we have from Nick Martin's injury. We can replace him with someone in the SSP period, and one of those two players, it could be, you know, Will Setterfield, Jackson Binns, or it could be someone we add later. Remember, Tom Edwards last year was only added, I think, to the mix in February and got a list spot a few weeks later because of those incredible practice match performances. So this stuff can really form quite late as well. I wouldn't be locking it in as these two in a you know, a two-horse race. I think there could be some surprises thrown in there as well. And finally, we end on the captaincy. So Zach Merritt has handed in his captaincy. He, you know, the 41st captain of the football club. It's now going to be a 42nd this year because Zach Merritt he's handed it in, and I think this was, you know, the obvious move. You can't have, you know, someone like Zach Merritt in his situation captaining the club. It would be even more awkward to have him kind of overthrown, but the fact that he can, you know, fall on his own sword a bit and do the honourable thing and give the captaincy away, it makes more sense. You know, this is now, it's not a hard decision the club have to make. Now that the club can make the, you know, the decision they were going to make anyway, giving the captaincy probably to Andy McGrath, but also, you know, there's no awkwardness about it at all. And Zach Merritt, I think I've said this before, I think it's good for Zach not to be captain. He can, you know, he doesn't have to be the face of the club with that burden of responsibility anymore. He can just go out and play good footy, and I think that would probably make him a bit happier anyway. You know, obviously we don't know what's going to happen at the end of 2026, whether he stays or goes, but you know, with him not being captain, you know, with other players rising to the top a bit with their importance, hopefully, I think it'll make the move easier to swallow a year after he tried navigating it out anyway in 2025, or maybe, you know, he decides he wants to stay because, you know, the responsibility isn't there and he can just play good footy and be a leader on the field and not the face of the club off it. So I think this makes a lot of sense. I think Andy McGrath is probably, you know, the right man for the job. Obviously Mason Redmond's in the mix as well, and I'm sure the leadership team will be announced early into 2027, so I'll keep you updated with that. But guys, I think that might be all that I've missed in the last few days. Let me know. I might be forgetting something, to be honest, and if I am, it just means I have to make another video anyway. But yeah, plenty more coming up. I'm going to be doing a ladder predictor soon, so stay tuned for that. I'll be doing a best 23 video, which is actually pretty tough. I've been trying to nail in my team, but it is hard, and there will be more content as well. I'll be on some other channels in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. But that is all, Bomber fans. Make sure you like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and as always, go Bombers. So we've got a race on in Adelaide at the moment, and there's a jet that's just doing figure eights, but he only does it when I'm recording. Whenever I press record, that is his cue to get in his jet. Why am I even speaking? He's just... So with that vacancy for the last remaining list spot,